Okay, well, as we just heard, the judge has declared a mistrial. The jury has been released from their service. The judge thanked them for their service, and then they're, of course, making arrangements for how they're going to get them out of the building. But really just... if I seem speechless, Tolly, it's because I kind of am.
Yeah. I mean, it's not anything anyone anticipated. And honestly, while the defense did what they could in terms of countering the state's allegations, as been discussed by individuals down at the courthouse, it's not like they put up a huge fight. They didn't poke a ton of holes during cross-examination. Their argument was basically, well, what did they not bring to us, and quantity versus quality, and arguments like that. But it wasn't like there was any type of really compelling evidence on the defense side that would make anyone anticipate this would be the result. So I think all parties involved understand that the evidence was strong. The case contained pretty good evidence, and this was just a rogue juror that no one anticipated being able to being on the jury.
But ultimately, the prosecution lives to fight another day.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like this is not over for Billy Chemirmir.
No, exactly, and that's why some people may have expected. Well, he didn't really show a lot of emotion there. He wasn't really smiling and getting a slap on the back from co-counsel, from defense counsel, and it's because everybody understands. Everybody heard what the evidence is. We all know what's coming, what's going to happen. He's not walking out of jail tonight. He has many, many more battles in front of him. So, while this is a very small, in a sense, victory for the defense, by no means is this the end. And so Mr. Chemirmir has likely been told that by his counsel. And the state's they'll regroup and figure out what to do next.
Let's talk about the what next. Let's walk people through. There were some folks posting in the chat of what's the difference between a mistrial and double jeopardy and that kind of thing. Let's kind of just walk people through a primer of the what next, and because I know double jeopardy obviously would not apply here, but just explain that to folks.
So it's a good question. So double jeopardy would occur. Say you can't be prosecuted for the same offense twice. But in the sense of a finding of not guilty. So if you are acquitted of this case, say Mr. Chemirmir was found not guilty of this offense, the state would not be able to come back and re-indict him for the same offense. They could go on another offense, but not this particular one, because a jury has found him not guilty. So double jeopardy would be if they tried to do that. Mistrial means no decision was made one way or the other. The state didn't get what they wanted, the defense didn't get what they wanted. So yes, this case is essentially, okay, no decision was made, we just start over.
And what I sense from you is, though, that you wouldn't read too much into this juror, right? I mean, the likelihood that you're going to have another rogue juror is pretty unlikely.
This is very much an anomaly, right? This is very much an anomaly. If there were questions, if the defense put up a lot of evidence and it countered what the state had brought forward, and that was the reason for this tug of war, we get it. If there was more of a split, if it was 6-6 or 8-4, and there was a little bit more of it at issue there, then you'd say maybe the state's evidence wasn't very compelling. But you've got a single juror who refused to discuss the evidence, who refused to reanalyze or debate what was going on. That's what we're assuming, at least, based off of the lack of request to see anything and from the notes that came out. So yeah, this is kind of an anomaly. No one could have anticipated this person getting on the jury. We're not sure why she didn't voice concerns from the get-go, or maybe, and this is part of our system, she listened to the evidence and she was fair and impartial, and for whatever reason made up her mind the way she did. And we just have to live with that.
And it is the system that we have. I mean, with all of its imperfections, it is the system, and it is the system.
Yeah.
I mean, and you do want jurors to come in and listen with impartiality. And I have no idea what played a role in her thinking. I'm extremely curious, But
I mean, rightfully or wrongfully, you have to hope that that's what happened. That ultimately she and the 11 others, excluding the alternates, sat down, listened to this case, gave a open and fair interpretation of the evidence, and listened to all the testimony before making a decision, and at the end of the trial came to that conclusion. And if that's the case, you can't really fault a person for that, right? I would say the only time you would fault somebody is if they made up their mind prior to the evidence being concluded, prior to the testimony being concluded. Then, yeah, you could say, well, you're not really doing your job there. You're not being open-minded. You're not giving both sides a fair trial. But yeah, I mean, if she listened to everything and at the end of the testimony said, that's it, my mind's made up, I listened to everything, I gave both sides a fair shot, I just don't think they're there.
And I think it's really important to remember, that lightning is unlikely to strike twice here for Mr. Chemirmir. There is no doubt that the prosecution will try this case or some of the other cases. This is not,
for sure.
This is not over with by a long shot.
No, there's a certainty. I mean, and as we've heard earlier, there's a case pending in Collin County. He's got other counts to answer for in Dallas. He still has this case to answer for as well. This case isn't going to just disappear. It doesn't go away. He still has to answer for all of this. The state of Texas has to decide strategically, what would be the best path to go forward with now in terms of prosecuting him next.
Hold on a second, guys. Is Rebecca live at 4?
Yes, she's about to talk to the family.
Okay, yeah. So I can't get her on the phone right now because she's about to do her other job. But you know what? Let me get Jobin to call in. I'm curious. Jobin's waiting for the attorneys. I'm curious because I bet there's lots of reactions.
I imagine the prosecutors may not talk to the press, or if anything, they'll say they respect the decision of the jury and that's it. Probably not field many questions. The defense attorneys probably will. Like I said, they'll view this as a victory.
Yeah, they're feeling pretty good right now.
Sure.
But again, they're gonna, it's hard. It would be hard to believe that this approach will work again.
Yeah, I mean, the advantage for the defense is that they have a blueprint of the state case. They know specifically exactly how the state's going to present the case. There might be some minor deviations, but they have an idea of what's coming forward the next time.
Hold on a second, Jobin. Let me take my mic off. All right, Jobin, what's the reaction at the courthouse?
Yeah, so, you hear the word mistrial, and all of a sudden, every imaginable scenario sort of runs through your head, and I know we have been doing the play-by-play on this for several hours now. It's sort of the what's next, what happens, who takes on the case, is it the same court, the same judge, is it the same, same evidence. As soon as we heard mistrial, as soon as we heard that, we heard multiple reporters yell out, mistrial, 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 which is very common, right? Mm-hmm. The news starts to sort of make its way to the back kind of situation, and now we're all set up here on the 7th and 10th floors. We've got several, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cameras here on the 7th floor, hoping that the defense will talk, hoping that the prosecution will talk. Both have incredible. I mean, if you're the defense, you're seeing this as a victory, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm interested to hear what the prosecution has to say. What more could they have done? I'm interested to know that. I mean, if you're the defense, do you see this as a victory? Mm-hmm. On the 10th floor, Rebecca Lopez, who's been covering this trial every day as well, is with the families and hoping. The last I heard when I went up there, they were about 5 to 10 minutes from coming to the microphone. So they will be talking. One representative did come out of the doors and opened the doors and said, look, we need 5 to 10 minutes to just process what just happened. And they said, yes, we'll give you all the time you need, because I cannot imagine what it is they're feeling right now. We have 5, 6, 7 cameras there as well on that 10th floor, hoping to catch their reaction and just to hear what they're feeling right now. I'm sure they're as dumbfounded as many of us are right now.
I mean, I said it. I'm speechless. I mean, I really thought that it was going to be a quick guilty verdict, and pretty much at every step of the way I've been wrong. So it just kind of continues the pattern. Tolly, so you don't think the prosecution's going to come out and say much?
I don't. Typically they'll defer. They'll say, we don't have any statement at this time, or perhaps, one of the attorneys, maybe Mr. Fitzmartin or a representative for the DA's office, would say something analogous to, while we don't agree, we respect the verdict of the jury, and I would be surprised if they field any questions at this time. This is probably pretty shocking to them. They did not anticipate this. They'll need to go back and regroup and reassess what happened and how we got here.
Yeah, Jobin, Tolly doesn't think the prosecution will really say much, that it'll be, because they're going to be they're in shock too. So.
Yeah, and keep in mind also, I don't think this is the end of this, right? So I think they're going to play it close to the vest and say, look, let's go for round 2. And so if that's the case, making any media statements right now does not make any sense.
No, I think they'll be fairly quiet. Tolly, what do you think the defense will come out and say?
Yeah, Joan's right. I mean, they're gonna claim this is a victory. Anytime as a defense attorney, you can avoid conviction, especially when there is relatively overwhelming evidence in a case. It's a victory. It's a win. And so, they live to fight another day. And so they'll thank the juror for holding tight to her convictions, and they'll say that had this case been as overwhelming as we all on the outside thought it looked like, then he would have been convicted. But there's obviously some questions here, and they'll claim a victory.